I mean, that's literally what academia is built on. It's built on that with the Greek fraternities, sororities. It's all that's the whole infrastructure of it. For her to go against it is a very kind of radical stance.
One is my own complicity. Then very recently, in the last year, in my own institution, I've observed how Black administrators in particular are really being called on to do the dirty work, to write the threatening emails, to call students who are demanding an end to genocide aggressive and angry and a threat. And so it's not the white president, but a whole flank of Black administrators.
Ooh, this is some fire stuff right here. I did not expect this. What she's saying is, I'm tired of you. And see, notice they don't call out the hats. I'm really pissed off at these type of Blacks here who know what they do is they conflate the hats with whites. We can't do that. You cannot do that. But you're talking about Palestine, but they will never they will never name the hat. Never. They'd never do it. But this is still a progress. This is still a white pill. What she's saying is, I'm tired of you all using my skin color to do your dirty work. Okay, let me hear you out.
Who are the ones who are really, doing the work of these institutions to repress free speech and dissent. And I think that is very strategic, because when that is the face of the message, people perhaps who believe in representational politics may be less likely to question it, be critical of it, to push back against it. So it's really a way of insulating business as usual with a cosmetic veneer of change and progress and inclusion that I really believe we have to look past and look through in order to see what's actually going on.
I can imagine, as I'm listening to you say these two things about diversity, the first part of it is, I can imagine a lot of people who don't share your politics cheering with you, first of all. Because I think of people like Elon Musk who have said...
Oh, wow. Trevor's almost like he's reading my mind because I don't share their politics. And after she's done, Trevor was like, there might be a Black guy in his basement, Osiris, doing an after show carnage, and he might be like getting hype on this. So where are we at now? This is a mic check. He's like, wait a second, look at her face. Is this where we need to be right now? That's kind of where Trevor's like, okay, let's be careful now. We might agree with people that we're supposed to not. Wow, what a moment. This is incredible.
I think of people like Elon Musk who have said, no, he's like, we don't
be critical of it, to push back against it. So it's really a way of insulating business as usual with a cosmetic veneer of change and progress and inclusion that I really believe we have to look past.
Oh, was Black Lives Matter that?
And look through in order to see what's actually going on.
I can imagine, as I'm listening to you say these two things about diversity, the first part of it is, I can imagine a lot of people who don't share your politics cheering with you, first of all, because I think of people like Elon Musk who have said, no, he's like, we don't want diversity. Yeah. We want the best people for the job, and that's it. And stop hiring diversity. Boeing planes are crashing.
That's not. Oh, don't do that, Trevor. Don't do that. Elon Musk has never said he doesn't want diversity. He's saying that he doesn't want it to be the deciding factor. The factor is merit. And after merit, we're hoping to get diversity. He's not anti-diversity. Nick's not I'm not anti-diversity. Don't do that. I don't like when people misconstrue the take, especially smart people. That triggers me. That pisses me off.
Because of the Blacks. Yes. The Blacks don't know how to screw doors in, right? Yes. Even though there's no record of this. So he would hear you and be like, yes, thank you. We don't want diversity. We want the best person for the job.
Yes.
Another person would be like, wait, but then Ruha, if we're not addressing the exclusion of people, like when I think of South Africa's history, the intention behind what we called Black economic empowerment, which was terribly implemented, by the way, I think the idea behind it was great. And it was, for a long time, Black people couldn't go to schools, Black people couldn't get this type of education, they couldn't get this type of job, they couldn't live in the city, they couldn't, similar to America, right? You couldn't get...
No, it's not similar to... Why are we talking about South Africa? I know he's from South Africa, right? Or I don't know, has ties there. It's not the same. He's talking about apartheid? That's not the same.
A bank loan, you couldn't get the mortgage, your house was undervalued, etc., continues to be. And so someone said, how do we design a system that tries to right that wrong and get people to where they should be? And I can imagine somebody listening to what you're saying going like, wait, but then what are we supposed to do? Not fix it?
Yeah,
because I know you're very solutions driven as well. What do you think we're missing when we only think of the inclusion or not the inclusion?
Simply put, we're not asking what we're being included into. And so, whether we draw on something that Martin Luther King said in terms of being integrated into a burning house, or we think about the fact that plantations were very diverse places. But we would never say that, we would never say that they were, we would never say that they were progressive or liberal. So diversity and domination can go hand in hand. And honestly, many of the institutions that people are currently working on continue this plantation ethos. I just came back from a conference where educators of color working in schools around the country, specifically independent schools, private schools, that so many of them got hired a few years ago are now being let go. They were used up. They were put on the face of the websites. They were used to make these institutions feel good. And now that they are actually using their voices, they're being let go. And so that means that it was never about true inclusion of people's insights and experiences, but it was there to make the institutions feel good about them.
Well, but that's what you guys wanted. You wanted, I have the right color. I'm a woman. That's what you wanted, isn't it? But let me not break your flow. Keep on going.
And so again, when we're offered two choices, exclusion or inclusion, we always have to ask ourselves what's being left off the table.
I actually had a follow-up. You have been an activist alongside the students in the pro-Palestine movement, kind of become the professorial face of this movement at Princeton. And because of your...
Man, it's interesting that a lot of this, it sounds like, is being brought up when we watch. And it was blown up on TikTok. They're trying to stop it now with this whole deal to say, hey, you can't show what we're doing over there in the Middle East because it's causing us problems. This right here, it sounds to me like Palestine, which I don't care about the 7,000 miles away, but if it's going to energize us to have these type of conversations, great. What she's saying is we see what's happening in Palestine, bombing these people. They only care because they're brown. How brown are they? Are they really brown? They're in the desert. Whatever. That's their mentality. But they care for whatever reason. They do care, and I don't like it. And they're saying, well, why are we doing that? How's that benefit me? And then the Democrat Party and everybody else is saying, we need your black ass to shill for us doing those bombs. And then people are like, no, you don't. I'm good. And then I think that's the root of all of this.
Your stance, you've been suspended. And that is what you're talking about when you're talking about Black administrators and the protests against genocide, etc., in the light of diversity and inclusion. Can you speak more about that? Because you're putting your career on the line, and there's people out there like, what's Palestine got to do with you? So I'm really curious about that.
I'm happy to. And just quick clarification, I'm on probation for a year, specifically for accompanying the students in a sit-in that took place in the spring. And I went in because they were concerned about, one, police brutality that we'd been witnessing at Columbia and other places. And also because up until that point, the administration was really distorting their activities and their motives. And so they wanted a kind of objective faculty observer. But the administration has rejected that status and just said, I was with them, and so now I'm on probation.
Wow.
And so, to think about, again, at the very moment you mentioned the MacArthur, the day...
I do respect that, though. She put her career on the line.
Before I received the call from MacArthur that
she was probably tenured first. It's real hard to get rid of the tenured professors. You're a made man at that point.
Won this award in September. I had just had a very...
But if there's a way to get rid of them, it would be criticizing the tiny hats. If there was a way, that would be it.
Call with the administration that was essentially investigating my role. And so when the award was announced, it was all over the university website, all of the accolades. So they take credit, and at the same time, they're investigating me for basically acting on what I was hired to do.
Damn.
And so they're happy for it to stay theory. They're happy for it to stay on the page. But when you start actually living what you're writing and studying about, then it becomes a problem. And so that is, again, this disjunction between liking things to be controlled in the way that will benefit them. But as soon as you start to challenge them, then they try to put you...
This is After Show Carnage on the Middle MAGA Network.